Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. We have a special one for you today. It's October 22nd, Saturday morning. We're hanging out with Jesse, the fellow JGM. We're going to go over our player prop bets for Week 7. Jesse, man, how are we doing?
Happy Saturday, man. It's a glorious time of the year. We had our first sports equinox of the year last week. We had football, basketball, hockey, baseball. It's the best time of the year.
It is an exciting time of the year. I love fall in general. It's just, I don't know, the changing of the seasons and the weather and things. But we have 75 degrees for a high today in Milwaukee for like the next 2 or 3 days. So it's the last chance to go out and have some fun in the sun. And unfortunately, I hate that it also collides with like watching football all day on a Sunday. You know, it's like, can we move our TVs outside or something?
Hey, you know what? You can do that. Open the garage, put the TV in the garage if you have a garage.
There you go. You just need an outlet and a couple things. But anyways, last week we hit the holy grail here. We went 5 of 5 last week. So hopefully, if you guys watch the show, you hit some of the things that we went into, and we didn't even put the Lamar Jackson interception on the prop list, but it did hit. So we'll maybe call out some interceptions in this one. But let's just hop right into it. Let's go over. I guess the top game here is the Packers Commanders. This one is makes me nervous. I don't really know how I feel about it, but let's take a peek here. Let's see who they're projecting to score touchdowns first. Nobody with minus odds here, surprisingly. Hold on. How many? They're only projecting 41.5 points, and they're not confident that anyone's going to score a touchdown. I mean, I think it's probably. I saw a stat last night that like the Packers are like 22-2 or something when Aaron Jones has 15 or more carries. So like that's very clear that that's like the recipe going forward for them to have success. So like Aaron Jones plus 100, that's the one that's out here. Anything else you're liking here? Brian Robinson plus 180. Well, I'll let you go. If the Packers are going to score, it's Aaron Jones and who?
So the Packers, we got Aaron Jones. Alan Lazard probably could find the end zone this week. Bob Tunyon's getting a lot more run lately. Has he scored on the year yet? I don't think he has. But I know his targets have been increasing, and he kind of seems to be one of the guys that's like he's staying healthy, he's staying on the field. So naturally, Rodgers is like, all right, well, hey, let's see if we can get some sort of rep going with somebody here.
1 touchdown.
He's got one on the year, yeah.
Week 4, but his weekly fantasy, even if you're just playing him in DFS or a fantasy league, his numbers the last 4 weeks have looked pretty usable for a tight end. So I like the Tunyon call. And, of course, Lazard. I think Romeo Dobbs is probably a guy that has a good chance to score this week. And then, Tunyon, same odds as Dobbs with plus 190.
I think Lazard's got to feel good. I mean, the Commanders, from a touchdown standpoint, they're giving up the most touchdowns through the air to wide receivers. So that's probably where you got to look. I mean, their pass rush has not been great. So, I mean, this is really kind of a sweet spot for Rodgers because, if they're not going to get to him with pressure, I mean, he's going to be able to hopefully have some time back there to dissect, analyze, and find the open man, which is, he's one of the best at doing that if he gets the time. It's the O-line for sure.
It's the O-line is one of the bugaboos right now, but I have the Commanders ranked 20th in total fantasy points allowed. They give up points to the quarterback, but they are pretty bad against the wide receiver. So those plays go hand in hand. Maybe we'll look at the Rodgers passing prop.
Yeah, when I did this earlier in the week, I kind of just went to see what was available, and two I clicked on were Rodgers over 231.5. Seems nice, and then Aaron Jones over 22.5 receiving yards.
Okay,
it feels like it just may be.
Yeah, those are
talking about Aaron Jones. He's due for a get-right game.
So Taylor Heineke, I mean, the Packers, for as much crap as people give them, like their defense is very good against allowing fantasy points. Like they don't allow fantasy points. I know on if you're watching the game, it looks like they're struggling, but they're actually pretty stout against all the positions. If there's one it's the running back position that has been getting fantasy points compared to other positions. So if the Commanders were going to score 1 or 2 touchdowns, to me, it's Brian Robinson and who's the other guy?
Man, I mean, it's projected for 18.5. So, maybe they get a touchdown and a couple field goals. I think we're only going to give them. I don't feel comfortable really giving him the 1 touchdown. So, I mean, Brian Robinson is the guy. Plus 182. That's pretty mean.
Interesting to note, last week, I think was the first time Jair Alexander got to follow a guy for most of a game, and that was Garrett Wilson. Maybe he gets assigned Terry McLaurin, and that would leave probably Curtis Samuel in the slot. I don't know about a touchdown, but maybe we'll look at his props. But as far as touchdowns, again, we don't think this is going to be a super high scoring game. Let's look at those passing props. I like the Rodgers 1.5 touchdowns. I think that's something that sticks out. Only -120. I don't feel confident in the Heineke. You can see people smashing the -215. And then you like the yards here on Rodgers. I'm into that as well. There's too much unknown, I think, with Heineke that I'm not comfortable taking those. What are your thoughts here? Do you like the passing yards and the touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are both good spots. I think this is I mean, the Washington's not, they allow points to the running back. They really, really kind of funnel quarterback, wide receiver points. I mean, even against the tight end, I was looking at they're very good against tight ends. So I think this is just going to be Rodgers is just going to kind of pick apart this defense.
Does Heineke throw an interception tomorrow?
I did look at his pass. He actually is kind of he's not too risque with the ball, but. Yeah, I definitely could throw a pick against this defense.
Just want to see how many picks he threw last year. Like 7 or 8, maybe more. Oh, 15 interceptions last year. Jesus.
Did they play?
He threw one in every game except 1, 2, 3.
They played Green Bay last year too, right? And
he threw one. But the man played in 16 games last year. He only had 5 games where he did not throw an interception.
First one back.
Whew. Interesting.
How short is his leash? Where Sam Howell kind of gets the.
He gets 2 games for sure. He'll get this week and next week, and if it's bad, then they'll go to Howell for the week or 2. But with the 4-week timetable for Carson Wentz, I would imagine Heineke gets at least 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And then the rushing yards. Again, I mentioned Aaron Jones. Like the Packers know the recipe. It could be an Aaron Jones game. I think that makes sense. I believe the Washington football field is actual turf, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what I've heard is the players just love playing on, compared to a turf field or any kind of fake synthetic stuff. Real grass is what the players prefer to play on. So maybe Aaron Jones is feeling good. I don't like any of the other rushing numbers here. Maybe Taylor Heineke at 13.5. He was pretty. The dude ran for a lot of yards last year, I believe. 313 yards last year.
Yeah.
Multiple games where he was over that 13.5 prop. So that one's interesting. But I kind of like the receiving numbers. Let's look at those. What sticks out to you here?
Yeah, the only note I want to say on Brian Robinson is I kind of think the organization might just want to feed him the ball. They seem to love him a lot. So 50 yards, if you told me he gets like 20 carries, he's going to scrounge together 51.5 yards.
Yeah, you give him the 3 yards per carry at minimum.
If they have to abandon it. But the way the Packers are playing, it's like Washington might be able to linger enough that he gets it. So it's interesting. Yeah. But, I mean, like I said, Aaron Jones, 22.5. I think that's one that feels pretty good. A.J. Dillon, man, is he just not the guy we wanted him to be?
He doesn't
smash like
in the screen game. I think they're using him in the wrong routes right now. They're dumping him the ball off and then expecting him to go make a play. They're not putting him in position to make a play, like in open space. Like they're basically just dumping it off to him and saying, "Can you make a guy miss?" He can't make a guy miss and doesn't have the acceleration to make guys miss like Aaron Jones has. So that's a little frustrating. I don't know if I trust that. But otherwise, I mean, Terry McLaurin at 56.5 with potential Jair Alexander coverage. I don't know about that. You mentioned how bad the Washington Commanders are against the receiver. Romeo Doubs at 48. But to be honest, like I'm a Packer fan, but I think this game is going to be kind of not so fun to bet on for the most part here. I think Rodgers, Jones, those are the 2 guys that we're probably the most confident in. And if you have to bet on receptions here, people are smashing the over on A.J. Dillon 1.5. People are taking the under on J.D. McKissick 3.5. People are taking the under on Romeo Doubs 4.5 as well. I don't know if anything sticks out there. Under on Aaron Jones as well. But
the one guy that, from a receiver standpoint, I think is Lazard. I mean, I think in the 2 games, last week had 76 yards, New England 116. He put up 35 against the Giants, but the Giants have actually shut down number 1 receivers, so I'm not surprised there. He's the one guy I might consider clicking on, but yeah, I think.
Okay, I think we did enough. Let's move on to this one's more exciting. I think the Browns and the Ravens. If we just look at this game, 46 implied for both sides here. What are the Ravens projected to score? You have Baltimore projected to score. Where are they? 26 and a quarter. And then you have the Cleveland Browns at about almost 20 points. So 26-20. Let's look at the touchdown scorers. Do we have any information on Rashad Bateman? Is he going to play? It looks like they have him in here, but I'm not sure.
I don't have confirmation. No, I know he was trending right.
He was able to practice this week, which is
he's officially questionable.
So limited Wednesday through Friday. And we do know, of course, J.K. Dobbins is out. Kenyon Drake and Justice Hill are both in. So if basically, I think the only thing I can recommend is if you're going to bet on a Ravens touchdown, it's Mark Andrews. And then it's if Bateman plays, go ahead and consider it. But otherwise, is Lamar Jackson due for a rushing touchdown?
He's been due. This is one of the worst teams from a rushing perspective defensively. So, they're gonna be able to move the ball. This is a team that will just ground and destroy people on the ground. So
he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown in 3 games. And let's look and see here. The Cleveland Browns, they've already given up 2 rushing touchdowns on the year to quarterbacks. So that does make sense to me. And again, if you look at the rushing defense, that's really bad. They've given up 8 rushing touchdowns just to running backs. So basically 10 total rushing touchdowns in 6 games here. So I'm liking Lamar rushing. How do the Cleveland Browns project here? Do you like? I guess are we skipping over Kenyon Drake and Justice Hill? Do we even want to dabble with those guys?
Kenyon Drake plus 100 is even money. It's kind of whatever it is. But I don't even see Justice Hill on here, so that intrigues me. Where is Justice Hill? Is he even on here? He is not.
So he's not. So he hasn't played the last 2 games, but he's practicing full all week. So I expect Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake to both be kind of in a committee tomorrow.
Yeah, so if I know this is a prop show, but from a fantasy angle, I'm stashing Hill over Drake.
Yeah.
I think the organization likes Hill. When he's in the game, he plays, and he's efficient. So if they add his TD prop, and it's somewhere around the Njoku territory, I'll probably dabble on that.
And then if you're stashing Hill over Kenyon Drake, I'm going to go and stash Gus Edwards over all of them. So I think for the short term, Justice Hill's look good, and he's a guy that I think could be interesting once his props get loaded in there. You can look at those. But I think long term, maybe Gus Edwards by mid to late November, maybe he's the guy. But looking at the Cleveland Browns, what do the Ravens allow? They're still god awful against quarterback and wide receiver, so maybe that's good news for Amari Cooper, David Njoku.
They're just pretty bad still.
Yeah. So it's all bad. Take your Nick Chubb touchdown at minus 110. I think that's due to hit. I don't think he scored in the last 2 games. I can't remember. But any other Brown to score, is it just Nick Chubb?
Amari Cooper has been scoring at a pretty good clip.
Look at this.
Yeah, Njoku down there.
Plus 310 for Njoku.
Wow. I have his yards were 36.5. I smashed that.
Wow, they don't have okay. So passing. Let's look at those rushing receiving props real quick. You're saying Njoku at 38.5, so it went up a little bit.
It went up 2 yards. I think he's going to clear 40 yards most games, especially against a team that just is so leaky like this. I think we're used to AFC North games being low scoring, but I think the tide's kind of turned now. It's these offenses are pumping better than the defenses. So.
It seems like once a week, Njoku will get a 25 or 30-yard catch. So he basically only needs 2 or 3 plays to get you there. So I like that one. As far as Amari Cooper, are you buying 54.5? I know his road splits have been brutal.
Yeah, it's a tougher line to chew, but if this game turns out into a shootout, I know the Browns don't want that, so they're going to try and limit their passing opportunities. 54 is kind of he can get there.
Donovan Peoples-Jones has been a guy that's been playing pretty well. I don't know if you've seen his numbers.
Yeah, I clicked him as well, to be honest. I think 36.5 is pretty pretty low.
74, 50, and 71 the last 3 games. So he's dealing 5, 7, and 9 targets, 4 receptions, and 5. So
if he gets 4 catches, he's getting 40 yards. So
I would argue even if he gets 3 catches, he's probably hitting them. So that one's pretty juicy. And then they don't have Bateman's numbers in here yet, so we don't really know. As far as the receptions, people are so here you go. People are taking the over on Njoku, 3.5 receptions. So you want to lean into the yards, I think.
Yeah, if I'm taking a Cooper bet, I'm taking his touchdown. He scored 4 of the last 5 games. I mean, that feels pretty good. Yard-wise, he's been kind of all over the place. I mean, 44, 76, 9, 100. So it's like
Cooper's been sneaky when they get near the red zone.
Yeah, he has, definitely.
So people are taking his under here at 4.5 receptions. Maybe this is the week we see the road home split narrative, maybe meet somewhere in the middle where he at least has a solid game, not like a smash game, but I'm open to it. People are not liking the Kareem Hunt here, taking the under on 2.5 receptions, which seems weird. And then people also smashing the under on Nick Chubb. I don't know if I feel great about anything here. I think, especially with not knowing if Bateman's going to play.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I mean, just bet. We know the players that we should bet on in this game. It's Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and then for the Browns, you're looking at Chubb, Njoku, Cooper.
We didn't look at the yards, but Chubb is out 71.5, which is not. He could definitely get there. I mean,
let's go to the old stat muse, eh? What did Nicholas Chubb do? Nicholas Chubb, he's only been over that twice in his career against the Ravens. Not last year, not once in 2020, once in 2019. So historically, not his best matchup. He does have 5 career touchdowns, but only in 2 games he scored touchdowns. So interesting.
I just feel like this Ravens
year's a little
defense
different.
that we're used to being afraid of. I mean, he's hit 71. He's had 56 last week, but before that, his lowest total was 87 yards, and then he's been over 100 every other game. So it's like, I don't know if it's a trap, but
I'm into it. And we hit the touchdowns. If we look at the passing numbers real quick, everyone's taking the under on both Brissett and Lamar, under 1.5 touchdowns. I don't know if these are not the passers you're looking for to bet on. I think if you want to stay away from these, that's totally fair. Unless you feel strongly, maybe Jacoby Brissett, this is an over spot for him. Again, we mentioned the Ravens being leaky, 2 quarterbacks and wide receivers. Maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, potentially.
Is Lamar Jackson throwing another interception? He's got 6 on the year.
Yeah, and it's always a bet. I mean, I liked it when it was plus odds.
Yeah, minus 120 today. But okay, we'll move on here to a less exciting game, the Buccaneers and the Panthers. We'll kind of be quick about this one. Don't put any props on the Panthers this week. This game is projected to 39.5 projected points in this game, and basically the final score is going to be like 26-13 is what they're saying. If you're betting on touchdowns, of course, Fournette minus 155. Godwin, are we doubling down on Godwin this week?
It's another good spot for him. I mean, I like Godwin, so.
These are the only $3 you can bet on. Bet on one of them. There's a chance at least 2 of them hit.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Panthers, we don't want to entertain it. But if there was one Panther to score a touchdown, who is it?
DJ Moore at plus 300 is like,
Ooh,
I don't know.
That's stanky.
That's crazy,
oh,
dude.
Goodness.
That's crazy, dude. DJ Moore's yardage prop is like, it's under 50 yards, which like, if Tampa's going to put up upper 20 points and Carolina's trying to catch up, DJ Moore's probably just going to.
But
he's the only guy.
Did you see PJ Walker's like next gen stats
Yeah,
chart?
he didn't throw one pass over a yard, dude.
Oh my god.
That's gonna change though. That's gonna change.
I would hope so. And now that the offense, like it's with McCaffrey gone, like DJ Moore is clearly their best player. So it does make sense to kind of feed him. But if someone's gonna score a touchdown, if they even get close to the goal line, I firmly believe Deonta Foreman is their in between the tackles, first and second down back. But again, we're not betting on any Panthers to score. PJ Walker, is he going to get a touchdown? People are saying no. Actually, people are saying yes. They're giving him over 0.5. So there's your DJ Moore narrative.
So no CMC. They're going to have to throw the ball to beat this team. So 156 yards. I mean, that is insane.
What has
the lowest total I've seen in a while?
Let's just look and see here. I believe he's played a handful of games for the Panthers. Yeah. So in 2 games this year, 60 yards passing.
hit it once.
Once.
And he hit it once.
All right, I'm not feeling so great about this anymore.
And it's Tampa, which is like what?
Yeah.
Top 5 defense.
He had 12 yards. Yeah, this. Well, I'm sorry, PJ Walker and family.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a good.
I bet you his interception is like minus 200 or something.
Yeah. Take it if you want the free.
Let's go to let's get out of here.
Let's look. Fournette 65.5. Sure, why not? Player props. Godwin 61.5. Man, like why are they putting him in these low 60s? He gets that by halftime. It seems like every game. So Godwin, I'm intrigued with. Evans at 63.5 feels more like a gamble. I'd rather take the Evans touchdown. Right, that's kind of how we've been doing things lately.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, man, I think this is a game where you probably just want to stay away from. People are taking the Godwin over 5.5. So if he does hit 6 receptions, he's probably over his yardage prop. People are taking the under on Mike Evans 4.5. So that kind of goes with what we say. I think Mike Evans is more likely to score a touchdown than hit his over-under props. So let's just move on. Let's just
take the Godwin props.
Yeah, the Godwin props and Fournette. I guess I would say it's kind of low-hanging fruit. But Atlanta and Cincinnati, I think this game is going to be fun. Because as weird as like the Falcons just destroyed the 49ers last week. Like the Falcons sitting at 3-3. Like, are they a good team? I'm not quite sure yet. 47 implied in this one as far as touchdown scorers. You have Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase both with heavy minus odds here. Higgins, Boyd, and then the first Falcon is Algier at plus 190. That's weird. Over London and Kyle Pitts plus 245. Which Bengals are you liking here?
Yeah, this is a game where you expect some points to be scored, so you kind of pick your favorite. You know, Jamar Chase minus 130. That doesn't feel too great. I'm pivoting to T. Higgins plus 115. I think he's finally gonna have a game. I think we're 2 games removed from the ankle situation. I think he's only getting healthier. Reports seem promising. And
the thing, I'll just add something on Higgins. He led the team in targets last week. And so I finally got my Game Pass to work. And he actually didn't get the start last week. Like if I would have been watching that game, I would have been super nervous. But he didn't get. He was out like the first 2 or 3 plays, and then came in, and then just he comes through. He unscathed, not on the injury report. So I think it is a Higgins week. Has Joe Mixon? He's only scored touchdowns, I think, in 1 game all year.
Yeah, it's like
if I'm leaning into the Bengals this week, I think it's Mixon and Higgins week, and.
Yeah, Mixon's probably due for some touchdown regression. He's got 1 TD on the year, 1 receiving. So
1 receiving, yeah. So okay, so he did catch a touchdown last week. So maybe I don't know, 2 of the last 3 games though he scored touchdowns. So I'm open to that. It seems like Chase scores in bunches. So who knows if he gets 1, he'll get 2. So and then. Atlanta, is it London? Is it Pitts? Is it Algier? Do we care? Is it Mariota in the rushing game plus 270? Or do we just is it not fun to bet on these guys?
I mean, I just don't want. Yeah, it's hard to find where it's going to come from. I mean, Pitts finally got one, but like his volume is still not great. Drake London, I mean, I can't predict what this team's doing on offense.
And
not in a good way.
the volume is just all over the place. But going against Cincinnati, shouldn't we be able to project more passing out of Mariota and the Dirty Boys this week?
Yeah, I mean it should be a shootout for sure. I mean Atlanta's not going to win this game by clock management.
So let's instead of because we don't really care about the Atlanta scoring touchdowns, maybe we care about their props. They don't have Mariota passing numbers in there. They have his passing touchdowns being just destroyed here, minus 265.
Yeah, that's a stupid number.
They have Burrow at 2.5. That's unfortunate. Interceptions. Mariota 105. Is Joe Burrow going to throw an interception? He's kind of.
I have Joe Burrow clicked. He threw 5 on the year, but he threw 4 week 1, which is kind of like a ridiculous situation.
When it rains, it pours.
Right. So he's probably not throwing a pick this week.
What about Mariota over his people? Look at it. So here's the tell. People are taking over Mariota passing attempts at 26.5, and then people are taking the over on passing completions. So you either like these numbers, or we should be liking the Drake Londons, the Kyle Pitts. We should be liking their props. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Let's look at this. As far as a rushing aspect, I mean, Mariota had 33.5. Should we look and see how many times he's been over that this year? Again, because if we're expecting more dropbacks and more passes, that should lead to more scrambles and more rushing opportunities for him. He's been over it 1, 2, 3 times this year. Looks like 2 of those games have been losses. So in the wins, he doesn't run as much. Interesting. Or I guess doesn't. I guess get as many yards. So
I mean, it makes sense.
I'm open to the Mariota rushing over. Mixon and Burrow, Algier. I don't know if I feel great about it. I mean, Joe Mixon should get volume. You know, if he gets 15 carries, that's going to put him right there at 60 yards or so. And Atlanta, we should look at Atlanta's defense real quick here. Atlanta's defense, actually, that's like one of their stingiest points is they actually don't. They're average against the running back, but again, look at the bright green receiver button here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we want to play with. And then the tight end, maybe it's a Hayden Hurst game. Hayden Hurst, is it a Hayden Hurst? Can we call it a Hayden Hurst revenge game?
Oh God, I mean,
is that?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you can.
So let's look here. T. Biggins, 72.5. They're liking the Biggins this week. That's stout.
I think they matched him with Chase is at 81.5. So my pivot. I mean, like I said, when I first looked at these numbers, I just pivoted to Higgins. Yeah, I mean,
Hayden Hurst only needs 30.5. How has he? I mean, people are taking it at minus 120. Again, Atlanta against the tight end has been bad. Mixon at 20.5. They got Pitts at 42 and London at 44.5.
What do you think? It's a low number. I mean,
that feels too low, man. If Mariota's going to drop back 27 times and he completes what's Mariota's completion percentage these days? On the year, it's 61%. So, you know, say we times 27 times 0.61, he's going to complete about 16 to 17 passes. I would assume 4 or 5 of those completions are going London's way. Let's look at the receptions here. So there you go. People are smashing the over 3.5. So if London gets his 4 receptions, what is that man's YP?
He's probably, I mean, it's got to be
12, 15.
I was going to say 11 to 12 yards.
12.2. So,
so he gets
3 catches, you hit, you miss. He gets the 4th, you hit. So I guess minus 165 on the over here. I think if you want to play the odds, you play for more money, you go with that. Kyle Pitts, do you have any interest in lighting your money on fire here potentially?
Damn, I don't like betting on things that I don't know. You know, it's too hard. They just don't. Like, he should talent wise, he's good.
Even when he scores a touchdown, he finds a way to disappoint fantasy owners. Isn't that amazing? Like
he scored and he got like 2 catches for 9 yards.
He had 9 fantasy points. So even when he scores a touchdown, he can't
hit.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing to like about Kyle right now.
What do you know about Olamide Zaccheaus?
He's had a couple good games, hasn't he?
He's been 16.9 YPC, 2 touchdowns on the year. Look at the yards, 58, 39, 55, 41, 29, 49. They got him down here at 32.5, man.
He's flirting.
So he's been over that in 5 out of 6 games. And if we think this is a Mariota volume game,
that's probably a good number.
He might be the one that I like. I would probably take Olamide over London over Pitts to hit his number. So that's where we're at with the Falcons offense. Yeah. Anything on the reception side here? People are smashing Tyler. Oh, people are smashing Tyler Boyd over 3.5. He's got 41.5 yards. People are smashing the over on London 3.5.
Does Olamide get his 3rd catch? Because that's plus 120.
I don't know. Let's see here. He's only been over that twice all year. So he's strictly that big. He's strictly that big play guy where like he's gonna probably hit it. He's gonna hit that 32.5 in 1 catch. Yeah. And again, if we're into the narrative here that yes, the Falcons. So I guess here's the pivot too is say the Bengals get out to a start and Falcons have to play from behind and come back. Or what if those big plays happen early for the Falcons and they get into a control the game situation and then the Bengals have to throw? I think both things are at play. So that's why I think Olamide is kind of safe. because they either look for him early or they continue to throw the ball as the game goes on. So interesting. Anything else in the reception column here?
Not particularly. I mean, maybe Hayden Hurst, if you think that's the T, it's narrative is sexy, but 4 catches is.
Is Hayden Hurst ever sexy?
No, it's not.
Let's move on. Dallas
Cowboys.
Cowboys and the Lions. I'm excited about this one just because the Lions are coming off a bye, looking healthy and spry.
Everyone's back, so.
Dak, Swift, Amon-Ra, maybe Dalton Schultz too. I don't know if that adds any juice, but it does a little bit. Touchdown scores. You got Zeke at -130. We should actually, let's look at this before we get into the games. The Lions allowing the second most fantasy points per game. They are pretty bad against every position here, especially running backs. I think they are the second worst against running back. So again, so you like the quarterback matchup, you like the running back matchup, you like the receiver matchup. Unsure about Dalton Schultz's matchup this week. The Cowboys, they are allowing the 8th fewest fantasy points per game here. They are pretty damn good against everything, but look at the one that sticks out, receivers. So you think Lions receiver, you think of?
Yep, St. Brown, baby.
Amon-Ra St. Brown +145 to score. Very intriguing. Again, so you got Zeke, you got Lamb, you got maybe Pollard. What about Gallup? Like, you have 4 Cowboys here. How would you rank them in terms of like which one is your favorite to score?
Yeah, I mean, when they get near the goal line, they use Zeke. So Zeke's probably punching himself a touchdown this week. And then, I mean, the Lions are just so bad everywhere. So,
well, I have one here. I have one thing. One thing that I like, if you're going to take a receiver to score a touchdown, you should always look and see what's going on here. So people are saying Dak's going to throw 2. So that immediately puts Gallup and Lamb on the board to me. Now, if you're deciding between Lamb and Gallup, which one do you do?
That's a good question. I mean, Dak's first week back. I think it's probably CD Lamb. Let's get the connection going.
Okay.
Let's just flow through our main man.
And if
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, I'm excited about Gallup because he had I think he had about 100 air yards last week. He only caught 2 passes for maybe 8 yards against the Eagles, but his injury that made him miss the first few games of the year is we're not even it's like Godwin. We love Godwin now. He's healthy. He's back. I think Gallup is officially back, and if you can buy low on Gallup before this game, I think you should do it in your fantasy leagues. But with Dak back, Gallup healthy, Gallup getting air yards, he's due for a big bust game. So maybe we look at his yards or something. I'm open to the touchdown. Anybody else on? I mean, so Tony Pollard's a guy that could be sneaky. If this game is a blowout, Tony Pollard could get some work.
I think I like Pollard +140 on that perspective of.
And so if a team is as bad as the Lions, a guy like Tony Pollard, he should pop off several chunk plays. So even Pollard in the passing game. If the Lions can't tackle, they're not going to. Doesn't matter if it's a pass or a run, right? So Pollard is kind of a fun pick for me. Lions, is it Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is it Swift? Is it Jamal Williams? What do we care? What do you think?
Yeah, from a Cowboy perspective, I mean, they're just stingy, man. They're a stingy defense. It's probably not the running back. It's probably going to be through the air.
So they've allowed 6 passing touchdowns in 6 games. So we'll give them 1 touchdown pass. And in terms of rushing, they've allowed 2 all year. So there's a 33% chance of a rushing touchdown tomorrow, which is pretty crazy.
I mean, if it's not Amon, who's the receiver? We like a Josh Reynolds.
Maybe it's Hawkinson.
They don't have because they don't have DJ Chark, right? He's still out.
I believe Chark. Yeah. So the Cowboys haven't allowed a tight end touchdown all year, so that says no to me. They have allowed. Okay, so yeah, they have allowed all 6 of the passing touchdowns have been to wide receiver. So I think you're onto something there. I don't believe DJ Chark's playing, and I believe Josh Reynolds missed some practice too. So Chark is out. They've already ruled him out. Josh Reynolds was DNP Wednesday, Thursday. Practice is limited on Friday. Amon-Ra is good to go. I mean, I think you probably just lean into Amon-Ra. I did see something too where the Cowboys play more zone, and that is the best coverage for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like he destroys zone coverages.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe we focus on yards for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where touchdowns are going to come from is.
Well, how about a Jared Goff turnover? So again, people are taking the over on Dak Prescott. I think that's pretty low hanging fruit. Stay away from the Goff. Passing yards, I don't know if I feel great either way. Here you go. Minus 140 on the one interception. That's not terrible.
How about Dak first game back?
It's the Lions though. Like the Lions, do they get turnovers? Like I don't know.
Probably not.
Like if it was his first game back against like the Giants or something, I'd consider it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. Let's look at some of the more fun numbers here. Rushing yards, Dak 9.5, Zeke 64.5, Tony P at 34.5. Give me that one. Minus 130.
What's Tony? Do they have potentially a rushing plus receive Tony P number?
No,
just
not
Zeke.
yet. So double check. We can kind of do the math, right? They don't even have him in reception yards. What the hell?
That's weird.
Huh. Wow. I would imagine Tony Pollard's probably going to be at like 55 to 60 all-purpose, give him maybe 20, 30 receiving yards, something like that. So we like Tony Pollard in this one either way. Your reception yardages, Gallup at 51.5, CeeDee Lamb 72, Amon-Ra 71. I don't feel great about either of these, but Ezekiel Elliott 7.5 for catcher 2, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Dalton Schultz, 3.5. I mean, I don't think he's good for a touchdown, but I think he's good for probably that 30 number.
I'm not feeling great about any of these numbers, though, honestly.
I mean, 6.5 catches is
that's
a lot.
I don't know why they don't have everybody in here. Like, we know who's playing tomorrow for the most part. Maybe they're just waiting for Josh Reynolds to be officially, starting or in or out or whatever. Same with, I guess, Swift too. They have him listed as questionable. So let's just move on from this game. We'll kind of speed it up and go a little bit quicker as we're approaching 37 minutes here. We got a handful of games left. Giants, Jags, pick your touchdown scores. If two guys were to score in this game, who is it? It's probably Saquon Barkley for the Giants. Is ETN? Has he scored a touchdown yet?
He did not hit last week, but he's going to hit, dude. He's going to score a touchdown, yes.
Everything's looking like this is probably the last week where you could buy low or trade for ETN. I have a strong feeling because if the ETN owner is still kind of frustrated that he's not playing well, the usage report is super positive. All the snaps, he's got more routes, he's just getting more opportunities than James Robinson. So it's very clear that Robinson is not the same player after the Achilles. I think it's safe to say that ETN is providing the juice there. So I like ETN. It's always a Christian Kirk week for me, for sure. But Saquon Barkley, we can't reasonably suggest another Giants player to score a touchdown, can we?
It's very unpredictable. The Wandale long shot. DJ, I mean, plus 250, not terrible.
I'm not super excited about it. But let's look at the passing props real quick here. They're saying both guys not going to throw 2 touchdowns. Kind of whatever at that point. Interceptions. Yeah. They're saying Lawrence is likely to get one, but not Daniel Jones, which kind of intrigues me.
It's a little interesting. Let's Daniel Jones. What's he been doing?
So they have ETN at 51.5 rushing yards. I'm into that one. Saquon Barkley, 76.5. Those are probably the 2 rushing props that I think are worth looking at. Reception. Go ahead.
When I looked at this game, my initial prognosis was none of the numbers felt great. It doesn't feel like a amazingly high scoring game.
Well, these teams are hard to trust.
Yeah.
We don't know what to buy on this.
Besides Saquon, I mean, it's.
I do think the usage for Christian Kirk is due for some positive regression. he's been down the last couple of weeks, but he's still dominating the team in slot reps, all the targets, everything is still, the usage is still there. He just hasn't been, the problem with Christian Kirk is when one of the guys is injured, whether it's Zay Jones or Marvin Jones, his numbers actually have dipped the last couple of weeks. He needs Zay Jones, he needs outside presence to help him in the middle of the field. So if Zay and Marvin both play, which I believe they're on track to play, that could be a good sign for Christian Kirk. People are hitting his over 4.5. If he gets 5 catches, he's probably over 51.5 yards. So he's probably the one jag in the passing game that I like. ETN, though, 2.5 receptions. I think that feels pretty good to me. And his yardage total is only 15.5, man.
Very, very doable.
So this one, we'll wrap it up with this one. Barkley, ETN, Christian Kirk, everything else you can avoid. Let's look. This one's fun. The Colts and the Titans.
Is it fun?
Very fun game here. 41.5 total points implied in this one. We're getting the Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor matchup. It looks like Taylor's good to go. The odds are heavy for them to score touchdowns. Are you tapping one or the other or anything like that?
They're probably both going to cross, right? I mean, this is one of the ones where you parlay the Henry with, the Leonard Fournette. Get yourself even money. Take those two. Michael
Pittman touchdown interest you at plus 165?
Yeah, I think Alec Pierce is calling my name right now. Yeah. Titans have given up a lot of long touchdowns, and Alec Pierce, as we know him currently, is a
Titans are garbage against QB too. So 12 touchdowns given up on the year. You might want to lean into these Colts receivers. And this is like total fantasy points per game. Look at that. Like quarterbacks and receivers are just lighting up, even tight ends. So I like the Colts' ability to pass on this one.
I'm just remembering Titans Redskins, D'Ami Brown, 2 long touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, those are like
that's Alec Pierce.
That's Alec Pierce, man. That's what he runs, and so that's kind of.
If you're feeling risky, you take the 260 there to score a touchdown. I think I'm interested in looking at his individual props though. 43.5 yards, like sure, like that's one play against this Titan secondary. And you look at this, you have people leaning into the over 3.5 receptions. So the Pierce is the guy that I think we're probably going to make sure he gets on our prop list for this week.
Wait, this is interesting. So JT over 1.5 receptions is being hammered, but JT 10.5 yards is kind of not being interesting.
Let's take it. Take the 10.5.
With the Matt Ryan's been throwing to running backs. I mean, we saw Deion Jackson last week, man.
And Jesus.
Those are ridiculous. I mean, that's a crazy. I just understand why. How can you take over 1.5 and not think he gets a good spot?
That's a good spot for JT.
I had him checked for rushing and receiving. I think it's at 80 yards. I think that's.
And I would say if you're watching this on Saturday still, like get that bet in there. Get that Jonathan Taylor 10.5 because as soon as he's like officially active and playing tomorrow, these numbers might snap up a little bit. Maybe
they don't even have his rush yards on there, which is
right. That's what made me say it is they don't have his rushing yards in there, but they have his passing yards. As soon as they say Jonathan Taylor is good to go for tomorrow, that those passing numbers might jump up to like 14.5 or something. So look into that. As far as the other receiving props here, you have Pittman Jr. 68.5. I think again the Titans are just not good against receivers, so I think Pierce, Pittman, you want to lean into those matchups. The Titans, we can't responsibly recommend betting on anybody here. If there's one guy, it's Robert Woods, but put your money elsewhere, I would say.
Yeah.
Again, the receptions, Pittman minus 120 for 5.5. Alec Pierce 3.5. I think we've covered this one pretty well. Go with the yards and go Colts in that one. Jets Broncos. This one we'll give it 2 minutes.
I just tapped that Johnson 10.5 over. That's going to jump by 5 yards probably tomorrow.
Yep. Nobody's got minus odds for the Jets Broncos. If you have one player to score from each team, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, this is Breece's team, man. But this is the problem with the Broncos. They're the most anti-fun team for anything because their defense is top tier and their offense is just sluggish. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
the matchup that I think is the most important for tomorrow is who does Sauce Gardner cover? Is it Sutton? Is it Judy?
Yeah.
That's
a good question.
Whoever's on the opposite side of Gardner is going to be the offense for the day for the Broncos. So we'll see. And then because no Elijah Diva Moore, we're going to see Garrett Wilson probably be the leading target man. But again, he's playing Pat Surtain.
Yeah, you got to fade him. Is it Corey Davis?
This game is going to suck. This game is going to suck, okay? Let's look at the passing props. They don't even have Gus Wilson in there. Let's look and see interceptions. People are smashing the over on Zach Wilson. Can we just skip this? This game is so gross.
I think it's Breece Hall, and it's
everything like
nowhere else to go.
The Broncos have a three-headed mind fuck at running back.
Yeah. Who do you trust to get to score from that perspective? I mean,
Broncos country. Let's move on.
This is a fun game, though.
This was probably the game of the afternoon for me. Houston Texans, Las Vegas Raiders, 46 in this one. I'm taking the over on that one.
And I tapped Texans +7. I mean, so that's
all right. I'm gonna give the boss Jacobs a chance to score. You got to give Devontae. Got to give Pierce.
Pierce
After
+135.
That's where the questions come in. Is it Foster's Moreau? Is it Hunter Renfrow? Brandon Cooks? Probably more interested in their props. As far as touchdown bets, these are the top three guys that I would stick with. Let's look at those passing props and give me the spiel on Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, man, 231.5. We took that earlier in the year. This is another situation where I think we're in the same boat. The Raiders are going to put up points on this defense. It's just going to happen. We're talking about one of the worst, just in general, one of the worst defenses.
They are the worst against the quarterback specifically.
Yeah, exactly. It's a complete perfect script for Davis Mills because the Raiders are going to score, and the Raiders defense just is so leaky against the quarterback.
Do you have the stomach for Davis Mills over 1.5 passing touchdowns?
Problem is I think
it's Pierce.
Damian Pierce inside the 10. Yeah. They're not going to be throwing. And, it could be one of those weird O.J. Howard 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, the tight ends.
Someone random is going to. Yeah, exactly. So
if you're going to take one, I think you take the 231.5.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites of the
interceptions.
Slate.
Kind of like a Derek Carr interception tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Houston's. I mean, this is kind of like
they got some good young cornerbacks, man.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Let's look at the rushing receiving props here. Dameon Pierce, 67.5. Thank you. I'll take that.
Yes.
Derek Carr, Davis Mills, they don't run the ball.
It was 64.5.
84.5 is a little high. You're saying the Dameon Pierce one's escalating? It's going higher?
It's gone up 3 yards. I looked yesterday. I took a peek at these. So.
If you're watching this on Saturday, lock that in before it gets up to 72.5.
Yeah.
Receiving yards.
Cooks has been kind of quiet.
I was going to say Dameon Pierce receiving yards. I think he's going to be more involved in the passing game after the bye. I do like Devontae Adams 80.5. That seems pretty fair. Brandon Cooks. If we're liking Mills to hit his number, we should like Brandon Cooks to hit his, right?
Mm-hmm. I do like that number.
Receptions. I mean, people are right around 5 to 6 receptions for Cooks. Dameon Pierce, look at that. People are smashing over 1.5.
What was his? It's 12.5 yards for Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
See, I don't get that. Like that JT number is so wrong.
Yeah,
you got to smack that. So I like Dameon Pierce. I like Cooks. I like both their overs.
Look at the Jacobs number. He's at 17.5. If he gets 3 catches, sheesh.
Yeah, I mean people are taking both those.
And then otherwise, there's not much else that I see in this game. I think it's going to be fun, but it's just there's too much variables on the Houston offense in the passing game that it's hard to find bets that we like. So let's move on to the Seahawks and the Chargers. Chargers,
they got
50.5. This is a big game. And I will say, it sounds like Keenan Allen's playing. Look at where they have him for the touchdown odds.
Yeah, so this game opened at 53.5. Come down a little bit, but Keenan Allen playing should juice it up back
Well,
to that.
Let's show you the numbers here. The LA Chargers, look at that big old green spot in the running back column. And then the Seahawks,
right below
they're good against receiver, but everything else pretty bad. So Eckler, Walker, these are your touchdown bets. If there's one guy to catch a touchdown, is it Keenan Allen? Is it Mike Williams? I don't know. I don't know if I feel great about it.
Maybe
I will say I
Everett.
like DK Metcalf in this one. Lockett was DNP all week, but they're saying he's going to play. So that one, weird to me. That's very strange.
They're saying he's going to play. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, but I think for touchdown props, I think you take the 50.5 points. We should probably find another guy that we like. Do we do the old take Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both to score move? I don't know. If you feel like scraping.
You could do the same thing with Metcalf, Lockett.
That's more profitable, yeah.
That's a pivot there. That's an interesting pivot.
So we like all the receivers here. If you have a strong gut feeling, go with those guys. In terms of the passing props.
Hey, can you click that weekly specials once?
Yep. Eckler, 100 rush yards. Whew.
Two of the bottom tier teams. You can get that plus 2,000. I think that's worth a
$5 bill on it. Yeah.
Worth a small little wager.
Eckler's
we're
coming alive, man.
Yeah. We're talking about two bottom tier defenses against the run.
They're saying both guys are going to throw 2 touchdowns. So that makes, again, look at the top receivers. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, DK, and Lockett. Those guys are all plus odds to score touchdowns. I don't know if I care about the passing yards. I'd rather – they're going to throw their touchdowns. I think it's unsure on the yards. In terms of interceptions, people are saying, yes, Geno will throw an interception. People are saying, no, Herbert will not. Maybe does Herbert throw a pick tomorrow?
I mean, let's break it down. That Lamar one last week just stuck out so much that it was just too easy. I mean, we got Herbert's thrown 3 out of 6. So he threw one last week against Denver, good defense. He threw one home against Jacksonville. That was not his
fault, if I remember correctly.
And at KC. So, I mean, all right, so here's the tell. This is interesting. If he's thrown over 40 attempts, he's thrown a pick. Under 40 attempts, he's not thrown a pick. So do we think he hits that over 40 in this game, or do you think I kind of feel like the run game is going to –
People are taking the under 37.5, so I'll say no.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's our tell there.
All righty, let's look at the rushing receiving props. Eckler at 55.5. That one seems way too low. And then K Walker 71.5. If that was in the 60s, I think I'd hammer that. But it's right at the fringe line there, where if he gets 15 to 20 carries, he's going to hit it. And then look at they got nothing in here for us.
Yeah, that's because of the Kenneth Walker was at 67.5 yesterday, so he's already gone up 4 yards.
So that's the Keenan Allen effect here. We'll move on to another game.
Yeah, I know Keenan.
If you're watching this on Saturday night or Sunday morning or something, take bets in this game. That's going to be a fun game. And then let's finish up here with the Chiefs and the 49ers before we get out of here. Is Christian McCaffrey playing? I don't freaking know.
Nobody knows.
Touchdown scores, you gotta look at this is the tell to me. They still have Jeff Wilson here as the second highest odds for a touchdown. So that's very strange. I think if you're betting on touchdowns in this game, it's obviously Kelsey, it's Debo. After that, not much else I trust. Maybe you like Ayuk at plus 170. Maybe you like George Kittle plus 185. That could be fun. I'm not going to take McCaffrey in his first game. The dude's going to have 10 games. He's going to have maybe 10 plays in his package of plays. I don't know. I don't know if I trust it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Chiefs' worst defense in the league. 49ers' best defense in the league. So it's something's got to give. 49ers are probably going to put up a boatload, and I think Mahomes is Mahomes. So he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to find a way to score on this defense. Who scores though?
So let's look at. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo over 1.5. I think I'm interested here in the passing touchdowns. What about you?
Yeah, he probably gets that too.
Jimmy Garoppolo over 251. Has he done that this year?
I would be surprised if he has.
Maybe once. Maybe once. These look pretty. I mean, these are pretty. These are better like the Rams and the Panthers and the Broncos. Like, I'm open to it. I think I'd rather take the passing touchdowns.
I think he gets the 2 for sure. I think that's a fair bet.
Interceptions.
Mahomes.
How many times has he gone over 33 and a half passing attempts? Just once. So if the 49ers have their way, they want to keep him under 30.
Yeah, probably.
I don't feel strongly about it. Let's look at these numbers here. Debo 15 and a half. They don't even have McCaffrey in here. We just don't.
Or Jeff. We don't get Jeff.
That's going to be hard to predict on these things. I will say we like the passing game for the 49ers. Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, all of these are at play. If you had to pick one to tell your mom to bet money on, which one is it?
Shoot. To tell my mom? I'm going to tell her to take – oh, man. I'm telling her to take Ayuk probably.
All right, so you tell your mom to take Ayuk. Which one do you tell your grandma to take?
Dirty Kittle.
She's taking Kittle. This guy right here. This is the guy. Do we care about the Chiefs receivers? Probably not. I don't feel like playing whack-a-mole this week. Kelsey 71 and a half. I don't know if again, this defense is really good for the 49ers. In terms of reception props, let's see if there's any tells here this time. People are taking Hardman over 2.5. People are taking Juju over 4.5. That's weird. Kittle over 4.5 people are leaning into this being a 49ers passing game. It looks like, although Debo's down here.
And the Chiefs are they're favorites to win this game. So it's like the hardest part about the Chiefs this year is like, where does the scoring come from? Who's?
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
It's hard. It's hard to really win because there's no. I mean, Juju had a nice game last week, but
I kind of like the under in this one. I kind of like the under 49. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could be a surprisingly. I mean, that's a big point total.
I mean, I think
I agree.
I think this game is probably going to look like the Buffalo Chiefs game last week, like somewhere in that 24-20 range, which puts you right at 44.
Yeah, I mean, it opened at 47.5, and it's actually moved up to 49.
Yeah, I'm open to the under here. I think tomorrow night we might see the Chiefs struggle on offense. How many points have the 49ers given up this year? Is there a way to see that?
Yeah, maybe go to their schedule. Let's see where we're at.
So they've given up 19, 7, 10,
11,
9, 15, 15. So 28 was the worst last week. Allowed everyone else under 20 points.
That West Coast, East Coast, those games are always kind of
back to back. So I'm open to this. Like, the Chiefs are probably not going to light it up tomorrow. They're probably going to score between 20 and 24 points.
Yeah.
So interesting. We'll see. But we got about a couple minutes left in the show. Do we want to just quickly look at the primetime games? Steelers, Dolphins. Sure, take your Tyreek Hill, take your Jalen Waddles. Do you feel strongly about anyone on the Steelers side, or do we just stick to? I mean, Waddle at plus 110. I'd prefer that over Tyreek.
Yeah, what's the Waddle health situation? He's kind of been limited all week.
I thought I heard that it was not a concern.
Okay.
I mean, limited. I mean, 'tis the season. Everyone's not 100% at this point.
He'll play. I don't hate Najee this week, actually. His yardage was at 45.5, which is kind of the volume alone should get him that.
Well, I might be more interested in the passing numbers here. Pickett, people are taking the under. What if Pickett throws 2 touchdowns tomorrow night?
Primetime Pickett? Is that what his nickname is going to be?
I'm open. I think Pickett's going to look good on TV tomorrow.
I mean, the Dolphins, there was the big Lamar game, but Dolphins are giving up points to quarterbacks, 10 touchdowns on the year.
People are taking the interception for him. I wouldn't be surprised if
Tua pick. Yeah, I think I like that. Tua can be careless with the ball. I mean, he's not.
I'm open to that for sure. We'll slap that.
Is that going to be our?
I don't know if there's an interception this week that I feel great about, other than Lamar. Always Lamar.
So in four games in a year, 3 picks for Tua.
That might be the one. Primetime Tua.
I think that's the one. Yeah, I mean, numbers wise, I mean, Waddle at 61.5 is like, yeah, I'm slapping that. I mean, they got Tyreek up there at 78.5. It's kind of like the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase dichotomy, you know.
I like George Pickens at 42.5, but it's been got. So
slapping it.
I mean, people look at that. People are hitting the over on Pickens 3.5. So that's probably where I would lean. But let's take because we're just trying to get some obvious picks in there. Let's just take one final look here. Bears, Patriots.
Oof. This is what they give us for Monday Night Football.
TD scores, Ramondre -125. Damian Harris is going to play -125 for both. I'm open to both guys scoring. Jacoby Myers, we like his receiving props more. Is Montgomery the only Bears to score? Like, what are we doing here? Who's going to score for the Bears?
Jesus. I mean, Monty's the favorite, but he's +170, so that tells you everything you need to know about this game. They still don't have Mac Jones in there yet.
They don't have anything in here yet. Okay, we'll let you guys look into that game when it comes time. That's gonna do it for us today. Again, we'll get our props put in there. I think we're doing 5 today. We'll get 5 in there, and again, we did finally go over 50%. So we're back. We're back, and we'll get those locked in there for you today. So, any final thoughts, Jesse, on the games, Week 7?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good divisional games. This week feels a little bit more chaotic than last week. So we'll see if we can kind of navigate the fields like we've tried to. And 5 for 5 again, that's the goal, baby.
I think the disappointing part for me, Week 7, is Eagles, Rams, Vikings, Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best offenses around by this week. So we'll make do with what we got. We'll get our props in there. Enjoy the beautiful weather you guys got going on in your area. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later. Peace.